What it do, we're back again for the third devlog of my solo indie game dev, the Masters Labyrinth. Now, if you're new here, welcome. But if you're a returning viewer, I'm sure you're sick of my voice now, but you just keep coming back for more, so what can I tell you? I knew you loved me. Also, peep the new Vin Diesel cut. I'm like 60% more aerodynamic now. Anywho, in the last devlog, I went through a couple of the characters that you'll be able to play when the game comes out. Whenever that is, who knows? One day. Now for this devlog, it's basically the same thing, except it's not going to be a 15-hour video. I know the last devlog was way too long, but these devlogs are a work in progress, so bear with me. It doesn't help that TikTok has reduced people's attention span down to 30 seconds or more, so whatever. Maybe I'm just getting old. So, in today's devlog, I'll be covering two characters, Mick the Lumberjack and Zag the Barbarian. So strap in or strap on, because we're about to get stuck in. Also, no more intros, that shit was lame. Now, let's go! Oh yeah, let's rip in with Mick the Lumberjack. Uh-oh, don't show Greta Thunberg this, but we've got a master lumberjack on our hands, and he goes by the name Mick the Lumberjack. This character is as menacing and as powerful as he looks, as he harnesses the power and strength of a burly and tenaciously hardworking lumberjack. This character was named and designed after one of my good friends, Michael, who's a master tree cutter and an all-round legend. And also he's a bit of a loose cannon, but we love him nonetheless. Hence, I strategically came up with the name Mick the Lumberjack. Now enough with the introductions, let's check out the abilities, shall we?
Yeah, abilities, yeah!
First up is the standard auto attack, also known as the heavy-handed strike, which is a pretty basic ability and very straightforward. In order to cast this ability, it requires a two-handed axe to be equipped, and as it turns out, Mick is only able to wield two-handed axes. What a coincidence. Like all other auto attack abilities we have seen in the past, stamina is consumed to cast this ability rather than mana. Unfortunately for Mick, wielding a humongous two-handed axe doesn't do him any favors and consumes a lot of stamina per attack. Not so tough now, are you, Mick? I forgot to add, each swing can hit up to 5 enemies in total. Next up is the heroic lumberjack swing. There's not much to say about this ability other than smash.
Smash, 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 smash.
Like the legend that Mick is, he leaps into the air and crushes anyone that he lands on. Now, I'm not too stoked on this ability, I still think I can fine-tune this ability further, so keep an eye out in the future. Next up is Greta Thunberg's favourite ability, the flaming log throw. Also, please don't cancel me, Mick would never set a tree on fire. He loves nature, I swear. Anyway, Big Mick leaps into the air and prepares to throw a flaming log at an enemy, which, as you expected, explodes and stuns all nearby enemies. Now you may be asking, how's a log going to explode? No one knows, but explosions make every game better, so why not? Next up is the Nature's Payback ability. Now this attack is quite juicy. Similar to Cowboy Corey's tornado attack, Mick spins around and deals damage to all nearby enemies, as he mercilessly swings his axe like a buffoon, hitting anyone or anything in sight. I told you Mick was a bit of a loose cannon, you just didn't believe me. Now I don't mean to toot my own horn here, but I'm actually really happy with how the animation and effects for this ability turned out. What do you guys think? Last but not least for Mick is his special ability in which he summons the all-powerful defender of the forest, Jack the Grizzly Bear. Similar to Big Bad Brendo's special ability that we saw in the previous devlog where he summoned the skeletal pirate, Mick summons his companion to defend him and unleash mayhem on all nearby enemies. Now coding this was quite simple as I reused the code that I had used for Big Bad Brendo's skeleton, with minor changes of course. Also, I really like the claw particles I added, it adds a nice touch and makes you feel like the bear is actually mowing through enemies. Sheesh, I'd hate to be on the receiving end of this bear. I should also mention, before I get roasted by someone in the comment section, that I definitely did not model this bear. It looks unreal and I suck at Blender. But this is a Unity asset I picked up and it saved me a ton of time, because I can't model for shit. Anyway, I'm super stoked on how Mick has turned out and I hope I can continue to improve on him as development goes on. Now hold on to your fanny packs because up next is Zag the Barbarian. Hell yeah, brother. Zag the Barbarian, a ferocious and battle-crazed barbarian that has an unwavering hunger for violence and blood, which is very similar to the person I modeled this after, my good friend Zaggy. I'm kidding, I take that back. Zaggy is a majestic hunk of a man who is gentle like a baby gazelle, but also could destroy you with his unusual barbarian strength. Hence why it was only fitting to name this character Zag the Barbarian. Also, I think I was able to design the beard on the model to match his luscious beard just about right. Anywho, enough of that. First ability on the list is the basic, yep, you guessed it, auto attack, named Barbaric Assault. Similar to Mick and basically every other character, Zag uses stamina to cast this ability and requires either a main hand or an offhand weapon to attack, but preferably both for maximum smash. If you equip only your main hand weapon, you'll attack only with that. Makes sense, I guess. It's basically the same as if you were to equip only your offhand weapon. You'd only attack with that. I mean, it makes sense really. Also, quick side note, offhand melee attacks on their own use less stamina. Do with that information as you will. But I have to admit, it's very satisfying watching Zag laying the smackdown on these baddies.
Smash.
Next up is the Spires of Doom. Put simply, Zag summons rock pillars from the earth and entraps up to 5 enemies within the vicinity, stunning them and dealing some juicy damage. Now, this ability needs some fine tuning, especially when scaling the spires up for larger enemies, but we'll cross that bridge another time. But for now, enjoy these enemies being punished by Zag. Up next is the Barbaric Smash. Technically speaking, this is considered a ranged ability, but is also useful for close range combat. Zag violently smashes the ground, causing the earth in front of him to shatter and damage all enemies that are hit by the shattered earth. This attack can reach enemies up to a few meters away in distance. There's not much else really, it's quite a simple offensive ability. The next ability is Boulder Throw. Clever naming, right? I mean, I really couldn't think of any other name for this ability. How did I get so creative? Anyway, we have seen the likes of this ability before with Cowboy Corey and Mick the Lumberjack. Zag leaps up into the air and throws a humongous boulder at nearby enemies. And yes, it explodes into tiny rock shards. How, you might ask, again? Because it's not real life and we can make things explode if we want to. Also, this attack stuns enemies on hit. I mean, fair enough, right? You literally just got smacked by a huge boulder. I'd be stunned too, to be honest. For Zag's final ability, we have Unstable Barbaric Rage, or put simply, Void Rage! Zag loses all control and goes on a rampage, similar to that of Rampage Jackson when he was confronted by a wooden door. Now, besides a lot of the stat increases and power-ups he gains from the special form, Zag transforms into this badass looking barbarian and deals enormous damage and becomes an unstoppable force of nature. If you recall, this is actually very similar to what we have seen in the previous devlog with Sensational Smoke. Overall, I'm really happy with how the special ability turned out, and it's probably one of my favorites, as it really brings out Zaggy's true barbarian spirit. I really hope you guys enjoy playing this character, as much as I've enjoyed making it. So I see you've made it to the end of the video. Well done. I guess your attention span is better than what I thought. TikTok ain't got nothing on you. I've only got a couple more characters to demonstrate, and then we can go into the more technical stuff that I've done in my game. For example, like the inventory system, the equipment and loot and saving systems that I've created, which have all aged me terribly, so bear with me. I'm sure a lot of those things are way more exciting than demonstrating the characters, but we've got to, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Also, a side note, if you're thinking about being a game dev, be prepared for burnout, because that shit is very real. But in saying that, being a game dev is very rewarding and it's quite fun, so don't let me put you off. Anywho, see you in the next devlog, you sensational champions.
Come in at the place and make the dance all hot.